I hope you're arriving in this space today with the intention of being inspired, because that's exactly what my guest today is brewing. Lindsey Liesenfelt is the mastermind behind what we know and love today as Truly Teas. She's talking with me today on how tea, at the heart of it all, is about traditions, connections, and creating memories. But also, it's so much more than that. Listen in as she tells us about how it took giving up her passion to realize that she needed to pursue her dreams. Hey all, I am here with Lindsey Liesenfelt. She is a fellow entrepreneur and owner of Truly Teas. I'm excited to have you on today. Thanks for setting aside a little bit of time today to hang out with me.
Of course, I'm excited to be here.
Lindsey, I connected with you several years ago when I had a storefront on the square in Crown Point, and I can remember you coming in and showing me your lovely products, and eventually I carried them and was sharing them with my own clients in the storefront. And it's just always so interesting to me to watch people's journeys and see how things sort of evolve and develop over time. I would love to hear how it started for you. I think that yours started more as not necessarily an intention to have a business, but as a project. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it actually started out at IUN in my business marketing class. It was an upper level marketing class, so I was almost done with college. It was with Professor Zemi from IUN, and we had to create a fake marketing project, a business, I should say, that would thrive within the Northwest Indiana area. And it was kind of an all semester project. So I got into a group of 5, and we ended up deciding to do tea because at the time, Tivana, which was my favorite local, like not really local, but they were at South Lake Mall at the time. They were my favorite loose leaf tea place to go to. So when they went out of business and Starbucks bought them out, I was devastated. So I was like, hey guys, I know a lot of other people in the tea community were absolutely devastated about this happening. And I was like, why don't we do tea? Because nobody else has it here in Northwest Indiana. So they're like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, well, let's make it organic. And then someone else had mentioned, I was like, let's try some fair trade teas as well to like really put us out there and give us a little bit of a niche. And I was like, that's perfect. So we ended up deciding to create Truly Teas. At that time, it was known as True Tea. But we ended up trading the name or switching the name when we came down to like actually purchasing the domain and everything like that, because there's some domains that were already purchased. But we had to create this business in school. And throughout the entire semester, we had different subjects that we had to focus on. And then towards the end, we had a competition up against our classmates, and we ended up winning. So after the competition, a few of our professors, including the Dean of Business, approached us and said, hey, are you actually thinking about opening this up? This is a really good idea. You already have the whole marketing plan done. It's basically, you have your business, plan done as well. This would be something really smart. And we're thinking like, nah, we're finally done with the project. We're over it. We're like, but it got us thinking. And it was me, my past partner, Bronca, and my past partner, Demi, who decided to actually open it up. So down the road, a year later, they decided to pursue their careers in human resources and marketing. And I decided to keep Truly Teas alive while working a full-time job in human resources. And then I recently just quit my full-time job, and here I am today. So, it's definitely a different start because it started from an actual school project. Who knew those things would actually, work out to be something one day. But I am definitely blessed.
Yeah, that's a really cool beginning story. And one of the things that stands out to me so much is that you created something because you saw a need and a want of your own, something that you were missing. You didn't just say, oh, I'm going to really miss that. I wish I still had that. You decided to create what you didn't have and also make it available for other people too, which I just love that. That resonates with my own story so much. Tell us a little bit. I don't know that everybody understands what fair trade is.
So fair trade certified, to be fair trade certified, we have to, well, we don't have to, but we purchase from actual tea farms that pay their employees a fair minimum wage. And it's extremely important to myself and also to Truly Teas as a company, because that money goes back into the community. And I am all about supporting our communities out here, but I'm also very invested in supporting the communities where I get my products from. So not only does it pay that employee a fair minimum wage, but it pays it back to the community where they're able to put it back into the society. They're able to get the education that they need because they have the funds for it. They're able to afford the necessities that they do in a normal household. So it's very important to me.
Yeah, that's really heartfelt, important mindsets of the product that you are putting out there. And I just love that. It's not just simply something that you're just trying to sell. You care about the whole process of how it even arrives in someone's cup, so to speak. That's just incredible. Tell me a little bit more about more of the heart of it all too, because I feel like you're a lot like me in some ways, where it isn't just about selling somebody something. It's about maybe creating an experience or deepening traditions or moments for people. Tell me a little bit more about what it means to you at the heart of it all, Truly Teas.
So at the heart of Truly Teas, what really gives me my passion to keep going every day and doing what I love is because tea was always something that I shared with my mom. My mom and my brother at that. We used to have game nights on Fridays. You know, my mom was a single mom. She didn't have a lot of money. She was an amazing mom. She still is an amazing mom. So we would go out, we'd either have game night or movie nights. We would go out to Strax or another grocery store, and we would purchase our favorite teas. And of course we would get some snacks. And we would always have just a hot cup of tea with us, and we were watching the movie. It's just being able to share that with someone. And then the next morning we would always have tea and bagels or Pop-Tarts on the Miranda. We called it the Miranda. It was our small courtyard that we had in our townhome. But it was just something that meant so much to me and still does to this day. Me and my mom still have our tea time. So she comes over or I go to her, and we always brew up our favorite cup of tea and we just have that conversation. And you just really get that moment to bond with your family and friends over a beverage, and it just brings you closer together. So that's what I'm striving for, because tea is not just your average beverage. It's something that you can have to share with people. It's something that you can have on the go. It's something that you can also have to improve your healthier lifestyle. So there's so many more avenues that go into it. But for me, the most important thing was how it brought me and my mom and my brother together when I was a kid.
I love that story so much. So many times, food and drink is wrapped up in the experiences and the memories that we create. And that is just so, that's just so heartwarming that, you have those memories of your mom and your brother. And I just love that scene. And I can relate to that as well. And just, creating those memories for other people and helping them to establish their own traditions with things in that way is just so wonderful. And I love to see you doing that. You spoke a little bit earlier about tea community. You mentioned that. I don't know that I ever knew that was a thing.
Oh, it is. We are a diehard tea community and we love our teas.
So is that, really and truly though, like, is that something like people have coffee clubs and I would say even alcohol clubs and things like that? Is that really a thing that people actually, connect outside of their families with something like tea groups, almost like a book club or something?
Yeah. So
is it?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of my friends, they are starting to grow into tea people because of course they are supporting my small business, especially one of my friends, her name is Sarah. She was never ever she's not much of she is a coffee person, but she's made the switch to tea because it's a lot better. It goes better in line with her healthier lifestyle now. So it's just now that anytime I, create a new blend or get a new blend in, she's like, when are we trying these new teas? I want to vote what's my favorite one. And But when we come together, we're able to sit there and like try all these new blends and all these new teas and just try and see what everybody's taste buds go around. So it's kind of really exciting to do this. It's fun. It's a lot healthier than alcohol, I will say that. But yes, there is a tea community out there that actually sit down and just bring their favorite teas in and they share it with each one another.
That's lovely. I love the thought of that. Everybody sitting around like with their tea time. I mean, a lot of people have the image in their mind when we talk about tea of like old ladies with their little teacup and saucer sipping on tea and having some biscuits, as they're called in certain cultures. And I think it's so far beyond that at this point. Tea culture, I'll even use the word tea culture, is really a thing these days. And tell us more about the coffee tea comparison, and not to like, you know, say it's wrong to drink coffee, because many of us do, myself included, but tell us a little bit about what, you talked about the healthy part of tea being, a little bit more on track with those lifestyle enhancements.
Yeah, so coffee doesn't really necessarily have those health benefits that tea has. So that's where tea comes in handy. It's going to be way different in taste. I can't stand coffee. I've never been a coffee drinker. I've always been a tea drinker, obviously. But I've tried to, like coffee does smell good. I will admit it smells delicious, but I just do not like it. But there's no comparison when it comes to health benefits. You within a cup of coffee and a cup of tea, you don't really get any health benefits from the coffee, whereas you can get like heart healthy teas, you can get slimming teas, you can get detoxing teas, sleepy times tea, like my Relax Lights Out tea that actually helps you fall asleep. There's just so much more that goes into tea than there is coffee. Plus, it tastes a lot better, at least. Yeah. But I totally know, like those coffee diehards out there, like when I am at a small business event, I'm always asking when they're walking around, they see my booth and they come up to me and I'm like, oh, do you like tea? Like, we're kind of coffee drinkers, but looking at your booth, this looks really interesting. I usually send them over to my herbals first because there's actually no tea in it. But then I start explaining about the health benefits versus coffee and tea, and they get pretty excited about it. So, but hands down, tea that probably doesn't have as much caffeine, but it's also going to be way lower in sugars, tea is, than in coffee, because you got the creamers, you got the sugar that people put in it. So all around, if you want a healthier lifestyle and want to try something new, there are some alternatives where you can get teas that kind of resemble coffee, kind of like my creme de Earl Grey. So it's got like that strong Earl Grey bergamot flavor, but it also mellows out with a creamy aroma and flavor because of the osmanthus flowers in it. So those are the ones I usually like refer to coffee drinkers, and they usually end up switching. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. One thing you said there that's interesting that I did not know is you said your herbal teas don't actually have tea in them. So what does that mean? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh yeah. So
I thought it was just all tea.
Oh, no, you're fine. So that's, before I really got into it, before I was probably like in high school, that's when I started really getting more into tea, actually looking up like what's in it, like what does this do? What does that do? But herbal teas are there's no tea leaf in there. So it's going to be completely caffeine free. There's going to be spices, herbs, fruits inside, and then also essential oils to really heighten those flavors as well. But also with those fruits, spices, and herbs, you're going to have a ton of health benefits. There's a tea blend that I have. It's called our turmeric root. It's super good for fighting inflammatory purposes. It's got the whole black pepper in it. It's got big chunks of turmeric root in there. It's got some Tulsi in there, which is also the fair trade ingredient in there. But there's just so much more that can go into an herbal blend versus a tea blend. Because when some people say they don't like tea, I usually typically ask them like, well, what kind of tea have you had? They're like, oh, black tea or green tea. I'm like, well, let's try an herbal. I was like, herbals are absolutely delicious. They add some flavor to your water. You get hydrated and you get those extra added on boost of health benefits too.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I've never really thought about it like that before. Is that so, or is what you're describing in regards to the herbs and floral and things like that, is that the same as when people say there are adaptogens in teas?
Kind of, yeah. So with for like the actual tea leaf, the way it's oxidized will either give you like the decaf tea or the caffeinated teas. But when it comes down to the herbal teas, like it's really the type of spice, the herb, and the ingredients inside with them all combined to give you those health benefits together. So like they say with turmeric root is really good is really good for inflammation. But when it's added with black pepper, like whole black pepper, it really enhances the health benefits of that anti-inflammatory in the turmeric.
Oh, okay, interesting. Tea to me too is something that is part of rituals and routines, not just with people, but also just in daily habits, helping you create like healthy habits. And I know for myself, that nighttime, specifically cup of tea, signals like that wind down type of time. Mm-hmm. And if I don't have that, it feels a little bit unsettled at nighttime. So I feel like tea can really be an enhancement in just the rhythms that you're trying to create for your day to have a little bit more certainty within the chaos. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that's true for people? Is it true for you?
Yeah, so humans are kind of a creature of habit a little bit. Mm-hmm. So like when they get into this habit, this routine, if something is missing from that routine, it can be off-put and it kind of messes up the entire sequence of the day. So like me, I like to have lemon ginger tea and I add some like full lion's mane into my tea as well, which I feel like it helps me with concentration, my boost in memory, everything like that. So if I feel like I haven't had that, I just feel kind of like foggy throughout the day. I don't feel as clear-headed. But I also think too, just having a good routine down really sets your day for success, because they say, like, for example, if you make your bed every morning, it's at least one task that you do in the morning where you feel accomplished because you got something done. So that's why they say always in the morning, like, if you don't want to make your bed, that's fine. But like, it's good to actually sit there and hold yourself accountable of one small, easy task every morning, because it sets the tone for the rest of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely relate to that, where, starting, and it can be true for any of those things, like whether it's making your bed or meditating or journaling, but the way you start your day, especially, I think is really key to how your mindset flows in the rest of the day. And when you can start it with like a delicious warm cup of herbals, or even if it is caffeine tea, I think that just really sets the tone.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Yeah, absolutely. And same thing with that nighttime for me, for sure. In regards to the business part of Truly Teas, talk to us a little bit about how you've overcome, first of all, what the challenges have been and how you've overcome them. Because if I remember correctly, I feel like you've overcome in ways that many haven't, in that you actually went away for a while and then you came back, which was awesome to see. And there was a lot of people excited about that, including myself, but I feel like that's not the norm. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so some things that I have overcome with Truly Teas, I'll do my first one was when my other two partners left. I had to transition from two other people helping me and being in the business, and they had their set titles, and then I did this and they did this. So just being able to condense all that into one person essentially was kind of hard to wrap my head around. But it's something that I found to be very exciting and very innovative, just because I got to learn new things. So it might have been hard at first, but in the long run, I was able to do the marketing. I was able to do the finances, which I never did. And it was just really exciting to actually learn all those new things. And then the second one was when Budweiser, their IP lawyer reached out to me regarding my logo, because it was very similar to their tea brand that they just launched that week. And so because my logo was so similar to theirs, they reached out to me and they wanted me to switch everything around and basically create a cease and desist. After a little of their own research, after a day or two of us going back and forth with emails, And talking over the phone, they realized that I was a small business. I thought that was a huge compliment on my behalf because they liked my website. They thought I was a bigger company than what I really was. But they gave me enough time to switch everything around. And unfortunately, since they are the bigger company, even though I did have my actual logo before theirs, and then my actual font before theirs, I had mine in 2018. They bought the brand, changed the brand in 2019, but they had it trademarked. But since they do have a lot more money than myself, I had to switch everything, which was okay, because honestly, I think I kind of like the new logo better. So I think that was kind of a little bit of a roadblock because I had to change everything. And when it comes down to it, it was quite costly because I had to make new banners, get rid of all the labels that I had already, my existing, I just bought 200 straws with my logos all over them. So it gets a little costly. But then the last one, which was shortly after that time, was when I decided to pursue more so HR than the tea company. Me and my husband, we sold our house. I think it was in 2021 when that housing boom went crazy, and we were going to purchase a house, a single family home, to have more space and more room so that way I could thrive with the business. And when I pursued that avenue, we sold our house and we moved in with our in-laws for the time being. And then everything, the prices and everything went skyrocket because of lumber. So it was no longer in reach for us. It was no longer affordable for us, which was a struggle. So to sit here and decide whether or not what I wanted to do, if I wanted to do Truly Teas full time or human resources gave me the security of having that paycheck every 2 weeks. So being able to move out of our in-laws and have our own space again together was very important for me because tensions were kind of high. Just living with our in-laws and not having our own space. I think everybody has that same issue once you're by yourself with your spouse, moving in with somebody else, it's kind of hard sometimes. So it's totally understandable. So I decided to quit Truly Teas and pursue my human resource job because I wasn't giving 100% in my tea business and I wasn't giving 100% in HR, and I am a 100% person. So when I do something, I want to put everything into it. So I decided to give it up. And when I gave it up for about 6 months, we finally found our own place. I got situated, and there was just something that was missing for those full 6 months. I mean, I love HR. I love people. I think that's another reason why I do so well with Truly Teas is because I am such a people person. But I miss the creativity, the innovation, the being able to tackle finances, marketing, also product design, everything. It was just something that I loved, and I worked my way from a human resource specialist which is an assistant essentially, to a human resource business partner to a manager. And it wasn't giving me the passion that I had for my small business. So I decided to quit. So I quit my full-time job in human resources and I decided to do full-time Truly Teas. So here we are today. So things can get kind of sticky when owning a small business, and especially since having that 2-week paycheck was super important to me, just because, again, I grew up with a single mom. She raised me to be super independent and to always make my own money for myself. So that's something that I really had to get over to pursue my actual true dreams. My mom is 100% supportive of my decision and my small business. And she couldn't be happier with my decision that I made today. But I was a little scared at first to make that decision. But with a little bit of her help saying you got this, you can do this, and my husband being super supportive too, here I am today pursuing Truly Teas full time.
That's an amazing story. And I didn't know most of that.
Yeah.
I was thinking you were going to tell me something like COVID or something like that was what had you step back from it for a while. And it's always so interesting to me, the struggles that people don't know, right? I mean, on the outside, an outsider looking in, it would assume exactly what I just said. Oh, COVID, affected her and had her shut down for a while. People just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
They just have no idea.
Yeah. So with COVID, COVID did affect Truly Teas in certain ways. I did lose out on a lot of money because I had a lot of events planned, everything like that. But also it really heightened my awareness online. So it was helpful in that aspect. And that's where Truly Teas really started to actually blossom. And I was able to see what it could do because I was working on it full time. I wasn't working anymore because we were laid off for the time being because of COVID. So I was able to actually sit there and focus on it 100%. And I think that's actually where my joy started, because I finally was able to just focus on it 100% and to see everything that I could do with it. And I don't think if it weren't for COVID, I probably wouldn't have quit my full-time job in human resources, because I would have never seen like what it could do, what I could do with it, what I could be as an entrepreneur, because it was never an option before for me. It was always you go to college, you get your degree, you get out of college, you get that, big paying job, and you support your family, and you have kind of like that American dream. But what I found out, the American dream, what society puts on is like the white picket fence, the house, the family. But to me, the American dream is what you want it to be, what you want it to make. You have exactly one life to live. And if you want to pursue it, like if I want to pursue Truly Teas for like the next 5 years, and I want to do something else after that, if I want to travel the world after that, just pick up and go, that's my decision. Like that's what makes me happy. You need to do what makes you happy for you to find that dream of yours.
You are speaking directly to my soul right now. Everything that you are talking about are all things that just resonate. I believe them. I try to live them. It just all makes so much sense. And yeah, the bubble that we're all put in of the things that you should do and don't reach past it, because that's not part of the system that's been created for you and the rules that have been created for you to follow. And I love it when people bust out of that like you have.
It's the greatest feeling ever. And I couldn't be more than happy to be able to have the strength to burst out of that bubble, because it is hard. So like when people sit there and be like, well, they did it and they did it, it should be easy. It's not easy. That's probably one of the biggest and hardest decisions that you will ever make in your life.
For sure. And I mean, it isn't easy. I mean, people give up high paying jobs. They give up insurance, they give up paid time off. There's all kinds of things. The security of just, money landing in your account every other week or whatever, there's things to be said about that, the comfort and security of that. But Kevin O'Leary, do you know who he is from Shark Tank?
Yes.
He has said, a salary is a drug they give you to forget your dreams.
It's very true.
And it's so true. That resonates so deeply when you really think about that quote. It is, because it's like you go to work and a lot of people love their jobs, and maybe it is their dream, the job that they go to every day and they clock in, and that's fantastic. I'm not telling anybody to go quit your job and do other things, but if it isn't what is feeding your soul and you're just going because of the security of it and the predictability of it, that is not the path intended for you.
Much agree. It is not.
So yeah, but I also, I do have awareness in, the struggle of not everybody can just say, I'm just going to stay home and work on my passion and quit my job. I mean, there's realities too, but people like you and I that have worked on that side dream or primary dream maybe, and also still worked in HR or other endeavors to, continue the comfort as well as the passion project, right? I love that you've recently transitioned full-time to Truly Teas. That is just super inspiring to me. And I know to our listeners as well, that can be a reality, to transition from that comfort, that security blanket, into really taking control of what you want for your life.
It is. Yeah. I remember the day that I made the decision. I was crying. I was a hot mess.
Yeah, because it doesn't mean it's easy, right? It's not like you're going to go in smiling and high-fiving everybody. It's still hard.
Yeah, and I have to sit here and I think sometimes even there's always thoughts in my head that I get worried. Everybody's going to get worried, but I create these little safety barriers, these little safety nets. And I just know that as a person, I am very resilient. I am very driven. And I know that if Truly Teas doesn't work out and I decided to pursue something else, I know that I have at least my education or my skill set to be able to go into something else that I know that I will enjoy. And I now have the skill set of searching for something that I will enjoy versus just settling.
Yes. And I love that too. It's like, just because you are currently working hard and pouring your whole heart into the cup that is Truly Tea's, doesn't mean that that's going to be always what you're pouring your heart and soul into, right? And that's okay. Like, I think people really get hung up on the idea that if you make this decision, it has to be forever.
Yeah. Everything's temporary. You can change your life tomorrow. You can change your life right now.
Yeah.
Nothing is forever. You can always, it might be hard. Yeah, sometimes it's going to be really hard to change something, but you are in control of your actions, your decisions, and your life. And that's something that I always tell people to take control of, because sometimes they feel like they don't have a choice when you do. So I always say, like, my friends, one of my friends, she's very successful in human resources. And I couldn't be more than happy for her. And then she's always like, well, look at you, you're doing this, you're doing that. I was like, but I'm just saying, girl, like, you are the epitome of success right now. I was like, I know I'm successful too, but like, you can't never compare yourself to somebody else, you know?
Yeah, that's such a, critical error to do that comparison game, and it never makes you feel anything but less than.
Yeah.
So it's like, just don't even do it.
Yep. Everybody's successful in their own little way. Everybody's going to be different. So everybody's successes are going to be different. So
Yeah, and defining success as so much more than just what is in your bank account. Not that finances aren't important, that you don't need to pay your bills, but at the end of the day, like, if you're working towards somebody else's goals and you're not even enjoying the funds that are in your account, then what is it even for?
yeah, much agree. I remember when my last job, I was like on cloud nine because it was a salaried position. I've never gotten paid that much before in my life. And I'm like, whoa, like, oh, whoa, I've never had this before, and then I probably got like 8 more paychecks after that. And I was like, but it's not what I want.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nice to have it there, but I'd rather have no money or the very little money that I'm making right now, because I'm pouring everything back into it right now just to really take it off, to let Truly Tea's just soar. And I have more pleasure of that than I was with my big paychecks coming in, so it's just something. And I didn't think that I would ever say that. Never. If you could have asked me that, like, hey, this is what you're going to say like 10 years from now, I'd be like, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy, because I would have never expected that for me to actually burst out of that bubble and to actually go for what I want to do.
Yeah, no, of course not, because you went to school, you got the degree, you went through the motions to follow the path that somebody else had paved for you, and then you found out that's actually not my path.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's just like, wow, I like this is, and deep down, I kind of knew I like doing my own thing from every job I've had. I've always put my spin on everything I do to be organized and like kind of go at it my own way, but also following the rules, of course. So I think I've just always been an entrepreneur at heart. My mom and my father, they owned their own trucking business before I was even born. And a few of my other family members are entrepreneurs as well. My uncle owns Lowell Concrete. My grandfather owns Dyer Vaults Concrete. So they're in the concrete business, but they all own their own business. So honestly, entrepreneurship is in my blood.
Yeah, it sounds like it for sure. And is it primarily just you running Truly Teas, or do you have a team?
It's basically just me. I do have my wonderful, wonderful helper best friend. You'll see her a lot. Her name is Sarah. So she helps me at a lot of events. She helps me mix and pack tea. Everything. She's going to be coming over on Thursday because she's going to be helping me get ready for my hobnob market that's this weekend that I will actually be staying over the night for. So she's just coming over for me to load everything up, all my like display stuff. So she's just helping me get organized, because right after that I leave for Vegas to go to the Tea Expo. So she's just coming over to make my life a little bit easier, hang out with her for a few hours, and then even afterwards we'll probably have tea or hang out and talk about girl stuff. So she is a huge supporter. And then of course my husband, he gets the pretty, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So like he gets me when I'm super frustrated, like I can't wrap my brain around certain things sometimes. Like he is my person that I go to, like, is this like a smart decision? Like, what do you think? Because there is one thing, excuse me, there is one thing that I miss about partners, and it's to have that second or third opinion. I love having multiple inputs because just because I think it's a good idea doesn't mean it's really a good idea. So I'm always asking him like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think I should do this? Or like, what's your opinion? Do you think the customers are like this? Or, you know, so he is just my go-to for support. He is my rock. I literally, I should get probably a tattoo of a rock on me so I can remember anything.
That's cool. I love that.
And then my mom is my other big supporter as well. So she is when I'm down and I just can't see the light at some point, because sometimes it just gets frustrating and it just gets overwhelming. Like having all of that, I don't think people realize like how much a small business, at least when it's not a hobby, when it's something that you're pouring everything in, you're paying money for, you're creating everything, you know, sometimes it gets to where it can be too much sometimes. I mean, that's with everybody owning a business. She is my rock. She will brew me up tea and she'll be like, Lindsey, now you got this. I know you're like seeing red and you're upset right now. She's like, but look at all the things you have done. Look at all the things you have accomplished. You two will figure out a way to get around this, especially like when Budweiser contacted us. That was extremely intimidating. So there's just some things that I had to get past, but I have an amazing team that does help me, even though they're not on payroll. They should be, but one day. But yeah, so far it's just me and it's my amazing support team that I have. And to the people that don't have the support team like the ones that I just explained, I couldn't speak. Oh my, like that's amazing. Like I don't know if I would be able to do if I didn't have my support team with me. You know, it's to having those cheerleaders, and some people don't, and it's just truly amazing what some people can really do.
Yeah. It's so critical to have people around you that are supportive in one way or another, whether it's a shoulder to cry on or people helping you stuff those tea bags, right?
Yeah.
I have a question about that, by the way. So if anybody's ever been to any of your events or seen your products in the coffee houses that are around and the cafes and things, they see what a lovely what would I call it? A lovely bag. I don't want to say bag, but a lovely container delivery system that your teas come in. Is that something that you do yourself, or is that something that you have assembled elsewhere? Like, how does that even work? All these,
like the bags, the brown bags.
yeah, like the actual like putting up the product in the bag for people to purchase. Is that something that you do that physically yourself as well? You do?
Yeah. So I used to have multiple sizing options. We used to sell the one tea bags, like it comes in a little pouch. You can find those at Susie's Cafe, Marble Florist and Tea Room. I only do those for my local wholesale vendors. I kind of want to venture out to selling those on Fair, but I need the manpower. So I'm working to get my own place instead of having to go to a commercial kitchen, because then I'll be able to go in whenever I need to.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that struggle is real. I can tell you
Yeah.
that, everybody.
Oh yeah. But everything like the labels down to it, I order all recyclable labels. They're just blank. I create my labels on Avery. So I am the designer of the labels, including the new ones, the new and improved, beautiful ones that I am just so ecstatic. I can't wait until I run out of my older labels to start sticking everything with the newer ones. So what I do is I order the eco-friendly biodegradable bags, the brown pouches, wholesale. And then I will sit there and create the label for the bag and get it sent off to Print Pro and Crown Point. They will print for me because they have the high definition printers for that. I will pick those up and then I will label each bag by hand. And then after that, we take them with us when we go to the commercial kitchen. We blend and pack some of the teas, and then we heat seal them and sell them as is. So I am literally doing the nitty gritty, all the steps. I don't have another company doing it for me because they do have this thing called the co-packer, which I have looked up one day, but not now. Maybe one day. I don't know. I still like the fact that I'm able to make my own custom blends and everything like that. I can still do that. I would just have to send it to them, but I still like the fact that I'm doing it in-house. And I'm still able to do that just because I don't have that high quantity of wanting to need to ship out that much just yet. But one day I will. But that beautiful bag that you see, that I thank you so much, is 100% a product of me. And of course, some of my helpers like my husband and Sarah when we're in the kitchen packing tea. So
Gosh, I love that so much. And just the heart and the soul and the care and the attention to detail that you're putting in those lovely bags. And I've said it before on other conversations on this space, is when you are literally taking the time with your own hands to create something that didn't exist before, like your custom blends and things, the bag, the logo, I mean, it literally was once nothing and now it is, and you created that yourself, and it was never before, and now somebody's having it in their home and enjoying it every day. Like, that is so just magical to know that that bag that you are picking up and taking home, like somebody literally put their heart and soul into that, and they created it especially for you.
Yep.
That's entirely different than going into a grocery store and buying a bulk, product off of a shelf that nobody's probably ever actually touched or ever gave a second thought to about what the experience would even be when somebody was enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's so different.
Yeah, buying from a small business, it's so much more rewarding when you purchase from a small business, and you feel really good about actually supporting your community, the people in your community, their dreams. And it's so much more than just buying a Christmas present or something that, oh, you like this, you're supporting someone's dream, and whether you know it or not, but you are supporting your community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say something too that I don't want to forget to say, because I just love the thought that Budweiser felt threatened by you.
Yes, I know, right?
Because you had said you felt intimidated by them, and I'm like, no, girl, they were threatened by your awesomeness.
Yeah. You know what? The night that I got home, and I was trying to think the brighter side of everything. I was like, at least I'll change my logo. That was after a couple of days. It's not a big deal. It'll be okay. But I was thinking, I looked at my husband. I was like, but you know what I can take back from this? And he's like, what? I was like, a multi-million-dollar company is thinking about me tonight.
Yeah.
A very small
Seriously.
business a very big business is thinking about a very small business and how I'm threatening to their brand,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like, that kind of makes me feel good.
Absolutely. And you should feel good about that, because that right there just shows the power of what you are creating and what you are becoming.
Yes. Yep. So I'm actually in the process of trademarking my new logo. It has been about 8 months now, so it takes forever to get stuff trademarked.
Yeah.
But it is on the road to being trademarked, so I'm very excited. It should be wrapping up in the next few months, hopefully. And then I'm getting a few other things trademarked as well, because I'm getting my Relax Lights Out name trademarked because I use it so much. It's one of my biggest selling teas that I have. So I wanted to make sure to protect that at all costs.
Yeah.
And I'm trademarking some other things that are very important to me as well. So
Yeah, cool. And you know what? Those things that, we might call setbacks or struggles are really just the things that we learn from in order to help us know better and then do better.
yeah, exactly. It's all about mindset.
Yeah.
That's why it was very important. It's very important for me when things get tough. I have to think of the bright side. So in order for me to get through Budweiser, the thing that got me through it is this multi-million-dollar company is basically complimenting me on my website because they thought I was a way bigger company. And they're like, we didn't do enough research. I was like,
Yeah.
you're a multi-million-dollar company. You're telling me you didn't do research before you reached out to me?
Yeah.
How much are they paying you? I feel like I could do your job for you.
Yeah, right. I would love to know how they even found you. Like, do they have people actually scouting out, people that feel a tad bit threatening?
Yeah, they probably, because it was the day that they released their their tea seltzers. It was the exact day that they released it that they reached out to me.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's because they did a search online, and then they saw me pop up before them on Google.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, wait a minute, who's this? And I'm like, you didn't think to do that before you did the product?
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. I do that when I think of the product, but so it is what it is. I mean, multi-million-dollar companies, I mean, it's just, I can only imagine what they have to go through. Their team is so large, so I can see things being missed, obviously, because they're so big and so large, and there's so much that they have to do. So I get it. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. So.
Well, I don't want to keep putting too much light on a company like Budweiser, but it also just seems ridiculous that you know, they are where they are with their company and would still be like trying to like pluck out the people just starting out in an entirely different path.
Yeah, my
But
IP lawyer from Valpo, she was explaining, like, oh yeah, like she was explaining me some like other cases that she's had to deal with, and I'm like, wow, it's just they basically do it so that way in case they are a bigger company, they don't get confused with their brand, which is understandable. So
sure.
like when it came down to it, I was just like, I understand 100%. I don't want my logo and my product to be confused with yours either, because yours is the exact opposite of what mine is supposed to
Right.
be, which is promoting health, while yours is doing the opposite. So
Yeah.
they're very successful. I have bought brands of their alcohol before, and it's good. You know, my dad was a huge Budweiser fan. I'm not saying nothing bad. But yeah, it's they were very nice to give me the time to actually like sell out of my older stuff too. So they were understanding once they found out how small I was. So I was very happy with that, because they didn't have to do that either. So
Yeah.
they were pretty nice in the end, but yeah.
Well, I will say that they should feel threatened though, because I see amazing things coming for Truly Teas, and they should be worried about your logo confusing with theirs because big things are forthcoming, and I love everything that you're creating. Tell us more about how we find Truly Teas and the events that you hold.
So you can find Truly Teas all online. So I have my website, and then on my website, I even have an option where you can see where you can the buy in store option, which is going to show you every location on my website on what they sell, whether they serve it or it's for bag purchase. I also have on there my small business events. So you're able to go to the small business event tab and you can view all of my events. I have them all from this month until December, because I'm already loading up all my weekends and my weekdays as much as I can. And then you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as well. I'm also on Pinterest. I'm trying to be a little bit more prominent on Pinterest, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be uploading some more recipes, some more photos, and Pinterest is just fun to look at too. So
Yeah, that's cool. And that's something else to note, because I've seen that before with the things that you post, is you're not just selling the bags of tea, you're also showing people how to use them and how to create combinations at home with them. Is that right?
Yeah. So I have my tea blog. I haven't posted just as much on it as I would like. So, but I do have quite a few recipes on there. One's just to steep a typical over the night tea. And then I also have ones like how to brew a cup of tea. So like I am trying to reach out to my newbies and my experienced clientele as well. So you can find on there other recipes that you can, I'm gonna be uploading actually a lavender Earl Grey scones soon, because they are delicious and I love making scones. So that's going to be really good. So stay tuned for that one. But you can go on there and you can just find a bunch of different types of like our mango peach refreshers on there. So if you wanted something other than just regular iced tea, I have a recipe for that. So you guys are able to actually go online and look up to see if there's a blend on there that you have recently purchased. And then you can make your own little concoction with my teas.
That's so cool. I'll definitely be on the lookout for that. And I too love putting teas and other infusions like that into desserts. So very cool. Looking forward to that for sure. Lindsey, is there anything that you would like to leave our listeners with? What would you like them to walk away thinking about today?
I just want them to walk away and think about, are they really enjoying what they want to do? Are they on the right path to what they want to do? And if you're not, it's going to be a little bit of a road to change it. But I mean, as long as you have the desire and the want and the need to spice things up and switch things up and pursue your dreams, do it. I mean, like I said earlier, you only have one life to live. So it's really important to make the most of it, because you don't want to be old one day and saying like, oh man, I should have like pursued this degree. I mean, degrees are, if you want to go to college and get your degree, do it. If you want to pursue working for trade, do it. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't let somebody else's opinion bring you down, because it's not the way of their life. You know, if it's something that you enjoy doing, do it. Of course, it's got to be a good thing, like nothing bad.
Yeah. I love that. And I'm sure that you can find clarity with that all a little bit better with a lovely cup of truly tea beside you.
Of course.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. And I will look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
You know, when you find yourself in a conversation with someone and suddenly you can just relate to everything they're saying? That's exactly what happened with this conversation with Lindsey. Some of my favorite parts were everything is temporary, and it's okay to change your mind, even if you've been pouring your heart into something. That rings so true for me because I often reinvent myself, and I think everybody should have the opportunity to do so without shame and guilt around it. Do what makes you happy. If the status quo American dream is not what feels good to you, then just live your own dream. Do your own life. Investing in and creating a company that not only sells things, but supports people, communities, and global efforts like sustainability and fair trade. I love what all of that means and what all of it puts forth into the world. Guys, go get yourself some Truly tea. As someone who personally has Lindsey's lovely blends in my own pantry, I know you'll enjoy having them in yours too. All ways to stay connected to Lindsey and this podcast are in the show notes. Please share this podcast to share the love. We appreciate you being a supporter of what's on your plate and all the guests who visit it. Until next time.